One art stream. Stop Spotify. No DMCA takedown.
Is your voice being recorded?
It is. I checked. Double, triple checked. Hello everyone. Welcome to ARCore, your weekly dose of tech news.
Should we have like an opening line, or should we just kind of roll into it as tired and as impromptu as we always do? Like, should we have like an opening roll?
Opening roll.
Where we're like, welcome to ARCore, your weekly
I shouldn't have
source
touched that. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay.
We already have welcome to ARCore that's read by our beautiful artificial intelligent assistant.
Are we gonna call her something? Mary.
I was thinking about like roll as we go live. I don't know. I had this dream last night.
What?
I dream about the show.
Me too.
Sometimes.
So do I.
That as we go live, like now it's just like when I press the go live button, we just don't go live. But we roll that trailer that Thompson made before, and it's like, hey,
Do it.
I was showing that last night.
huh?
I was just showing that to my friend last night. That trailer, it's epic.
You should. That should be our like opening launch video.
Get hype.
Is it possible to add that to OBS?
Yes, of course. That's the same way that I have the break stuff.
Ervin, don't let your dreams be dreams.
Yeah, man.
We
We are live right now, right?
We are. Hello.
Okay. I'm glad I didn't say what I wanted to say then.
Cause I have this intro. You guys can hear it, but if I go live, but I can just replace it. It's with the audio. Do.
All right, let me get the links ready.
Duplicate. Yes. And go Google Drive. ARCore trailer. Loop. Start. Don't loop it. Start playback.
In between that video and the actual intro, can we put the hold up, weed and boys?
I mean, I'll allow it.
Wait, isn't that in the trailer?
No, well, the Matt saying it, but not the remixed.
Oh. Oh. Yeah, but that could cause copyright issues.
Yeah, they're gonna come after us.
Wait, can it not be a copyright issue if it's shorter than
I know.
10 seconds?
Well,
All I'm saying. All I'm saying.
Trying to see how long it is without actually playing it for longer than 10 seconds.
That is a multi-layered attack.
Malicious in intent, design,
This is
and implementation.
this could be fit into 10
Education
seconds
on
easily.
these topics needs to be more readily available.
This stuff is important.
There to completely delete
Okay.
everything else.
The
We do
links
have some fun
are
stuff from Apple,
posted.
Google, and Tesla.
Intel.
This is some next level announcement.
Welcome Facebook.
Update your computer.
I'm playing it. Alright. Gonna play the intro.
Can you?
Trailer.
Let me
You guys
flip over.
can't. Yeah, you can. You
going
guys
to
can't
Twitch.
hear it, but you'll hear it. You'll hear it and Twitch or YouTube's.
Twitch.
I'm watching it on Twitch right now.
You can hear what we're saying.
Yeah, I can hear what you're saying.
Yeah. Roll.
Welcome, streamers, to the first live test of our opening roll.
And 3, 2, 1.
It poses a really big threat.
That is a multi-layered attacks.
Malicious in intent, design, and implementation.
That means that education on these topics needs to be more readily available.
This stuff is important.
There to completely delete everything off your computer.
We do have some fun stuff from Apple,
Google, and
Tesla.
Intel.
This is some next level announcement stuff.
Update your computer.
Like, how is she qualified for this role?
it's like making a film major a programmer, man.
No,
That's
yeah,
what we do that.
exactly.
Hola up, we dem boys of I4O. What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 8 of Industry 4.0, the only podcast that suggests that you regularly update your printer drivers.
Welcome to Industry 4.0.
Oh no, it still says the old intro. Oh, you guys muted yourself.
Always nice to see that.
Yeah, I muted to prevent wicked feedback, but nice.
Oh, right, because you were playing it, so you could, because you're feeding back the audio. Okay,
Right.
makes sense. Okay.
I personally am a fan of wicked feedback as opposed to sick, nasty feedback. But that's just me.
It was feedback AF.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm gonna go home now.
You are home.
How did you know that?
The green's green. You live in a green box.
I could be anywhere.
You could be anywhere.
If I
Yes.
actually tried to fix my lighting, I could look like I'm anywhere as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Show notes ready. Recording. Go.
Have you ever wanted to start a podcast so much that you could do anything? Hold on, let me close my door.
I wish that we could show that. Wait.
I probably should get more water, but yeah, whatever. I'll just go without liquids during this episode.
Righteous.
Sick. Okay, let me pull up I always keep the Twitch stream running on the side so I can catch them comments. Sometimes people will ask questions.
Ask a question.
Okay. I am ready when you guys are.
Ready?
Okay.
That beautiful intro.
Just a moment here.
Did you already roll the intro? Is that the only rolling of the intro?
What, the trailer?
Yeah.
I can play around, but that's not. I'm talking about the typical intro that we have.
Oh, right, yeah.
The Jeff.
Yeah.
Because he uses that in the recording.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Hey,
Guys
boy.
ready?
Yeah.
Welcome to I4O.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to I4O, the only show where we provide you a time lapse of both the news and the growth of my beard. I'm joined today by Ervin and Jeff on the show. What's going on, guys?
Hello. Good morning.
Episode.
I'm growing my beard one day at a time.
That's it.
Oh.
But yeah, so we have a lot to cover in today's news. We are going to be recreating the entire Samsung S9 launch reveal live before they do. We have some news from the Microsoft Windows 10 updates. Our first bit of news from the NRA. We have some additional news on top of that from Apple, Tesla, and Snapchat. But to jump straight into the Samsung S9 launch reveal, the video has been leaked several hours ahead of the launch.
It goes an entire day.
Oh, was it a whole day?
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, a whole day ahead.
Yeah.
So it's a 3+ minute reveal video highlighting bits of information about the new phone, the Galaxy S9, and I think you may have some of the initial. Yeah, you have some of the screens up on the stream right now, and as you can tell, they moved the fingerprint button, which was that was my biggest complaint
Yeah.
with the old phone. I hated that on the side next to the camera, but now it's under the camera where it belongs.
Mm-hmm. Makes it
there's-
easier to reach because I know I had an S8 briefly, and yeah, it was quite difficult. You had to do some finger juggling or just some contortions with your finger, try to get to reach that fingerprint sensor up right next to the camera. But yeah, moving it closer to the middle where majority of, if not all, Android phones now have it is good.
Yeah.
Samsung
The-
Galaxy now with ergonomics.
Yeah. The Bixby button's still there. They haven't gotten rid of that.
They're all in on Bixby.
They're all in on Bixby.
There's a new
Um,
Dex pad though. They teased the new Dex pad that was leaked a couple weeks ago. It's more of a, instead of like a phone dock, it's more of a horizontal dock that will also allow the phone to double as a touchscreen or a keyboard.
A touchpad. Yeah.
They have hinted at what could quite possibly be the most amazing water resistance ever, and I say that as a joke because the phone we were talking about that a little bit on the pre-show where the phone wasn't freaking out when it was getting hit by rain.
The kind of phone where if water drops on it, it won't register as a touch. So you can just text perfectly even in a downpour.
Yeah. So take your phone outside during the middle of a thunderstorm.
Right.
But yeah, this phone is going to be, it looks like it's going to be one of they're really focusing on security and facial recognition and Samsung Knox and all that new things. And it looks like it's also going to be fairly enterprise focused also with ease of access for integrating it into any business solution. So it's an interesting phone. I don't think we have too much on the exact specifications yet, but
Yeah, it's probably gonna rock in the new Snapdragon 845 here in the US. It's gonna have the whatever latest Exynos processor everywhere else in the world, because Samsung likes to do that. It's supposed to have extra AR features, trying to compete.
yeah, there's
with
built straight
the-
into the camera.
built into the camera. An Animoji-like some kind of feature that's also rumored to come with the phone. One, they're touting, there have been leaks about having a really great camera, having like a super slow mode on the camera, as well as there's a rumor to have a variable aperture directly on the lens itself. So there's a physical mechanism that shrinks down or increases the aperture depending on the settings within the camera, which is just a rumor that hasn't been confirmed yet, but we'll find out probably around the time that this episode publishes today.
I saw the video and they like did a flash
Yeah.
of the cameras, like it looks like a flicker, and it was in different sizes. So
Yeah,
and that's
it
kind
should.
of the vibe that I got. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking that might be confirmed.
But
But
because previously on other phones, it's just done pretty much digitally, right? There's no physical aperture that sort of changes.
Yeah.
And then, for people who don't know much about cameras, the aperture determines how much light is getting let in to the phone. So the smaller the aperture number is, the bigger the opening is. So that means it will allow more light in. And having that manual control to see, okay, if you want you're in a low light situation, you want to make that opening for the camera as big as possible, which allow more light in. And then if you want to shrink it down and get more of a different look when you're outside, you can change that and have that physical control over how much light the phone is actually getting. And we have a comment in the chat that is a guarantee that it won't blow up. That is to be determined. If it's
one can hope.
One can hope that Samsung has fixed their battery issues that they've had with the 7, the Note 7.
Yeah, and you started to say this earlier. For those of you who are watching live, the show, they will be officially unveiling this at noon today. For those of you
noon
who
Eastern.
and for those of you who are
Sunday.
listening after the fact, you'll probably already know what is going on. So, if you even care. So I know some people don't like Samsung after the Bixby button and the Note 7 debacle, but I will be interested in seeing the Note 9. That'll be an interesting phone later in the year.
Interesting that they'll decided to it looks like they're going to do the dual cameras on the plus size version, so they're going to reflect sort of how Apple does it now. Having a plus size phone will give you 2 different cameras, which will do the depth effect sort of feature, the portrait mode that was previously launched on the Note 8 phone that they have out currently. So they're bringing that over, but only for this plus size. So if you don't like big phones, then you're not gonna get that portrait type of mode on the camera.
Yeah,
but it's one of the biggest competitors with Apple, so there's a lot of eyes to see on this and interest in trying to see what's the next flagship that Samsung's gonna release, because it's still one of the top selling phones in the world. No matter how much I despise the software on it.
But speaking of new things, Microsoft is also releasing something new. They just released the new Windows 10 preview, and they're touting a much more efficient updating system for Windows. Again, this is just the preview, so this is anybody who would be on those the developer preview programs where they get the early access to the updates. But
will it finally stop rebooting in the middle of when I'm actually using it?
Evidently, they're attempting to try to be more proactive at keeping PCs updated. So, that has been a problem with Windows before, where it just randomly shuts off in the middle of an update or goes to sleep or something like that. But it seems that this is a start towards getting that issue resolved. So, when Windows 10 scans downloads and installs updates on a PC that's plugged in, it will prevent the PC from going to sleep when it has not been active for up to 2 hours. So if you regularly take your laptop off the charger and you happen to own a Surface Book or a Windows 10 laptop and you get this update, then it may still do that. But if it's plugged in, then Microsoft's goal is to, quote, give Windows Update more opportunity to succeed. So... So, I mean, and there's been issues with updates before, and I think that's always been a problem with Windows in general. But it's finally good that they're actually taking a stab at this and trying to fix it. But also included, there is a list of additional updates and issues that have been resolved, as well as several known issues that are in this. So, as recommended by the article, don't install this on your machine that you use every day, because again, it is a preview and not a final stable build. And I don't know if you guys wanted to go into detail with any of the additional fixes, but it seems to be mostly just like in-app searching and random crashes that would happen through Windows 10.
If anybody is interested, we'll have the link to this article in the show notes. You can check up on it.
Yes, but one thing that you will be able to do eventually, if you don't speak English as a native language, you will be able to talk to the Google Assistant in your language. They're gaining multilingual support for Google Assistant, adding more languages and deeper device integrations. So this is coming ahead of the Mobile World Congress that's coming up in, I think, a day, right?
It's sort of, there's unofficially, like, press events have started already, but I think it opens to the public starting tomorrow, which is held every year in Barcelona. It's where people, a lot of like the name suggests, Mobile World, it mostly talks about mobile phones and the mobile market, and a lot of big manufacturers hold off their announcements until then. I know CES was in January, and people were expecting a lot of big announcements there in terms of mobile, but typically don't get it. People just wait, or the big manufacturers just wait till Mobile World Congress. And looks like Google has announced that Assistant is getting more languages. So now currently it supports 8 languages, but by the end of this year, it's going to be up to 30 languages, which is great. Also, it will support multilingual. So if you have a household where you speak 2 different languages, it could support both and respond to you appropriately based on the language that you're speaking to it, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, and they're only rolling that functionality out for several languages.
Yeah,
and
just a subset
as it goes on. So for right now, it's only going to support English, French, and German, which I think this falls in line with their big push to get the Assistant out and get the rest of the Google home devices out in Europe. So this comes right alongside that in order to, I guess, kind of help support that push, because there are a lot of multilingual people in Europe. English is a big second language for a lot of the mainland European countries.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing.
You know, when the Pixel Buds were coming out, we were pretty excited about the translation abilities that those would have, or at least working with Pixel phones. Do you think that the Assistant's going to have something like that, where you could speak to it in a language and say, translate this to this language, so the other person can hear it and read it out?
Like you can already ask it to translate it. Like, how do you say X in whatever language, and it'll say it in that language.
I'm just wondering if it's going to be more like of a conversational.
Yeah, conversational.
Yeah, it could be. But yeah, it's using. They said that they were working on this to enable companies to build deeper integrations between the Assistant and device features using natural language. So, and using conversational interfaces of the Assistant. So that seems to potentially confirm that point that you were making, Jeff. So it looks like that they're just trying to make the Assistant more, even more conversational than it already is in third-party apps. But they also noted that there was a couple other apps that they had released as well. One that I was particularly interested in was Google's Reply. There's a video a hands-on video for it at the end of the article, and that is a really cool app. If anybody has ever used Allo or any of those apps that have those smart reply suggestions at the bottom of the messaging app, it adds that same functionality into your notifications, and this works for several apps. And at least on my phone, it works for Android Messages, Skype Lite, and Facebook Messenger Lite, which are like the Facebook Lite and Skype Lite are just kind of stripped down versions of the official apps that are meant for like data saving. And in my case, I just don't need the extra features. But yeah, that's a whole different story for a whole different day.
So it monitors notifications coming in, and based on whatever the context of the text message is, or the message is, it suggests automatically replies. We've seen this feature inside of Inbox or Google that suggests, depending on the content of the email, it'll suggest short replies. But this brings it, and we have also seen it in Allo, but this brings it to apps that don't support that feature. They don't have to support this at all. It's a clever little sort of hack. I would view it as that sort of bypasses it. It captures that notification, looks at the text, and then does some AI behind the scenes to figure out, okay, what should I reply? And I saw that when I initially was just playing with it. Maybe Matt, you can offer some more information on this. There's some automatic ones that you can set up, where let's say you're on vacation, it'll automatically reply anytime someone sends you a message, or if you're driving, which could be very safe, that'll automatically reply to anyone that reaches out to you. which I thought was a cool feature.
Yeah, there was a couple of them. The one that I saw, and I was going to test it out, but I had decided against it towards the last second, just for the sake of I wanted to actually see my messages. There was a "What's up" response, which I thought was kind of cool. So if someone were to text you like, "Hey, what's up?" or "What's going on," it would just automatically reply to that and say like, or it would be like, oh, like it would reply "What's up" back to them, or say something else, and it would have a little robot emoji to indicate that Google automatically replied to it. It's pretty cool. There's a couple other ones that were more specific to driving and traveling, where if someone texted you, and this is a feature that currently exists in iOS for some people, if someone texted you, "Where are you?" one of the suggestions could be your location on Google Maps.
Yeah.
So, and Ervin, I think you might be able to confirm that, but that was something that they also touted in this. So I'm going through it now. They have the vacation responder. And then a couple of the other ones is it can play a sound if it detects a text message is urgent. And it'll tell the person who you text or is texting you that it has played a loud chime on your phone. And one of the other ones I think is hilarious, where it can detect seriousness in a conversation. So it's like, oh, this sounds serious. Send the word if you want to make a loud sound on his phone.
I'll put that. It does.
But the "What's up" one, just to clarify, it will automatically reply "What's up" if someone says "Hey" or something like that. Yeah.
How far is it gonna go, guys? Is it gonna have full-fledged conversations like you're driving on your route home and your significant other says, "Can you pick up eggs on the way home?" and Google decides, yes, you can, because you don't have to let you know, "Hey, Matt, you got to pick up eggs or else."
I wouldn't doubt it, honestly, at this point. But it does have the driving support, where if you are driving, that it can reply like, "Oh, this person is driving in the car." But
And
since
then doesn't it ask like if it's urgent? You say, "Okay, this is like make a noise because I need their attention immediately." It'll reply, "Yes, this person is driving. Cannot reply right now, but if this is urgent, please." And identifies it urgent, and we'll
You can see that getting abused really easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, and since I already use Android Auto, I disabled most of those features because I already have my phone in hands-off mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a cool app.
Yeah, so commenting on this reply app, it just builds, like, integrates into the OS of the phone, it looks like.
Yeah.
Or it'll just, so what's it going to do in situations where maybe the app already offers this kind of predictive response? Like, are they going to fight to like give two different routes of doing this, or
I
can you
think
turn it off for certain apps?
I would think that maybe it can leverage a way of being able to tell if the app has a smart reply feature, because right now I think the only ones that I've seen that support smart replies in the notifications is straight from Google anyway.
Yeah.
So I think Google could just blacklist those apps in reply.
I'm also wondering if it's going to make those app developers have no desire to add a feature like this themselves, since Google's kind of covering them for it, or if maybe they'll do it to compete or for other devices. I don't know.
Maybe they'll make it like more of an API, because right now it's a standalone app that you have to install. But like you were saying, maybe they may bake it into the OS and Android version P or later. But for right now, the app is not available on the Google Play Store, from what I could tell. You have to download it from APK Mirror, which is a site where these big first-party app developers post sometimes the nightly builds or weekly builds of their apps in APK form. So you would need an Android phone, and you would need to allow downloading apps from third-party developers in order to get this.
It's very early stages, just to be clear, so there might be, or will definitely be buggy.
No, it definitely is buggy. The most annoying feature is just that it doesn't, when you open up, say, I've been using it in Android messages, and it does not dismiss the notification when you actually read the text message. So sometimes I found myself double replying. I'm like, oh, they already said that to me, I guess I'll just reply again. And I'm just like, oh, okay.
And it was just a little tidbit information. It was created by a special division within Google that's working on app experiments, trying new things with different apps, and that team is called Area 120. Not sure why Area 120. Which it says it. Area 120, which derives its name as a place that spends 100% of its time working on 20% projects. Oh, there we go.
There you
Now
go.
we know Area 120. So typically Googlers get 20%. They have an extra 20% time that they have available to work on new stuff, experience that's different from their regular day-to-day work. But this is just dedicated to 100% of the time. You just work on experiments, try new things, and this is one of their first apps that have been launched.
I think one of the features that came out of this division earlier was something for Google Maps enabling wheelchair accessible, enabling people to indicate if a place is wheelchair accessible or not. I think that was something that did come out of this. So they've done some pretty cool stuff before. But yeah, most of it's just been integrations in existing apps. This is like a standalone thing that's brand new from them. So it's impressive. I mean, it's a really cool concept, and I do hope it does get baked into the operating system, because sometimes those smart replies are really efficient instead of having me to just open up the message and type in like what's up. And it's such a small thing to complain about, but Google's all about efficiency.
And this is
sometimes.
only impossible on Android. This will be impossible to implement on iOS.
Yeah.
Because Apple doesn't allow you to kind of thing.
Well, it's not like notifications are that useful in iOS anyway.
This is very true.
Yeah.
Or for me, recently switching to iOS, that is one of my biggest. Is the notification system. As far as the assistant, new assistant stuff, one thing that I am very excited about, that's the feature should be rolling out. That was initially discussed at last year's Google I/O was routines, and routines are, in a nutshell, allows you to just say one trigger word to your Google Assistant and then program it to do, I think, up to 3 different tasks at once. So you can say, trigger Google Assistant and say, "Hey, I'm home," and then that'll turn on all the lights that are that you program. It can trigger other stuff that you might have in your house with you just saying one command, which is quite cool.
I like that. And also location-based reminders is nice too.
Yeah.
I like that. So next time you're at work, do this, or next time you go to the grocery store, make sure to pick this up. Even if you don't keep a list, it'll notify you when you're there. That's nice.
And that's been available on the phone. So if you said that, remind me when I get to work that I need to send this email to this person. It was available on the phone if you triggered it, but now it's on the actual Google Home, which I don't know why Google doesn't make everything work the same on every device. Like, I don't know why that's so hard, because it's already on the phone. Like, but it's nice that it's actually now available on the home as well.
Yeah, I think that's the end goal eventually, to integrate both together and have one. But yeah, for now we just live in this world where Google has 5 walled gardens instead of just 1. So, but
an example of a reminder you could set based on location would be when I'm at the conservative political action conference, remind me to give an award to Ajit Pai. Which may or may not have been used by Dan Schneider.
Perfect 10 out of 10 segue.
Thank you very much. So in case you have not caught wind of this, the NRA has given Ajit Pai a Courage Award and a gun because, according to them, he saved the internet. The quote here from the executive director of the American Conservative Union, Dan Schneider, is, "Ajit Pai, as you already know, saved the internet."
As some would say.
Right. So apparently he's the most courageous, heroic person that Schneider knows.
Even more courageous than Tim Cook for removing the headphone jack.
Right.
Oh, right. That was a very courageous move.
And that is pretty courageous. But he's also been described as fighting to preserve your free speech rights. So I don't know.
I feel like if I start talking, it's gonna end in a rant.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about this too. But
Yeah.
yeah, just they put a cowboy hat on his head and gave him a custom-made firearm as a reward, giving him the Charlton Heston Courage Under Fire Award from the NRA.
The only thing that would have made this better would have been if he had just broken out his Reese's cup coffee mug.
And shot it with the rifle.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it's maybe this is a win for telecom companies, but for a man who's now under investigation for circumventing standard policies, I don't know if I necessarily call him a savior of the internet yet. Maybe the only people, in my opinion, who would earn that would be the previous chairman, Tom Wheeler, for bringing to light a lot of the corruption that's in this industry. But it's this is the world we live in. Ajit Pai receives the award for being the savior of the internet and standing up under pressure. But because give him a gun, sure. I don't know exactly how he helped the NRA, but this is the world we live in. Oh my god!
I think it's just
I'm trying so hard not to rant.
some overlap of maybe conservative approach in general, kind of, if you will, maybe trying to get some people who are against or for the repeal of net neutrality, who maybe are trying to get some more people to support gun rights.
Yeah. In light of this, this actually reminded me of an article that I saw over the past couple of days that would be a good kind of tail rider article for this. So AT&T is actually already getting their fast lanes ready to go for when the FCC officially rolls back net neutrality. We don't have the article published, but they're going to be implementing sponsored lanes, or technically, I think is what they call it, like sponsored streams where services that pay a little bit extra get priority on their bandwidth and don't count towards your data. And of course, DirecTV is already on this list. It's their service.
Yeah, they own it.
But this is coming from the saved internet. This is it. This is where we are. So you heard it here first. Paid fast lanes and ways around data through paying telecom companies is already coming through, and it's thanks to this man.
Yeah, so you can write him a letter and thank him for saving your freedom and allowing you to be free to pay for your faster internet.
Yeah, and his Ajit Pai and his Kentucky long rifle.
Yep, the fast lane.
He lives life in the fast lane.
Yes, he does.
He gives that phrase a whole new meaning. But yeah, so speaking of other news that isn't this, to get away from
run away from it as fast as we can.
Yeah, let's just slide away from this one. Apple they're moving to store their iCloud keys in China, which is an interesting move for a company that touts security. So they're going to begin hosting Chinese users' iCloud accounts in a new Chinese data center. This seems to me that this is definitely a push to appease the Chinese authorities, because up until now, Apple has been far more secure than China has liked. But yeah, now this is going to give the Chinese authorities easier access to text messages, email, and other data stored in the cloud. Which is a move that's good for Apple in terms of maintaining market force in China, but this could be up to the individual to decide whether it's a good thing for the internet. But I mean, this is the world we live in. Like, we have to these global companies, these multinational tech companies, have to cater their technology to the vast number of individual markets around the globe.
Yeah,
And
China, yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, they're a giant stakeholder in the global economy. So, I mean, it's only natural, and I'm honestly, I'm surprised that this hasn't already happened, and I thought that that's what they were doing up until now. But the Chinese authorities will no longer have to use the U.S. courts to seek information on iCloud users, and can instead use their own legal system to ask Apple to hand over iCloud data. So, this is exactly that. It's just a push to make iOS more accessible for the countries that need them to be more accessible. So
what does this mean if, let's say, you're visiting and does that, will your data move over temporarily while you're in the country over to the Chinese servers? So for whatever reason, China wants to say, okay, Ervin's in China, let's see what he's been up to. It's interesting.
I don't know. Yeah, they say that because court approval isn't required under Chinese law, and police can issue a warrant. But I wonder if it's based on your account, like
your account, because they have like special. They have a U.S. depending on what country you created your account in. I guess that determines where that data is actually stored.
It also specifies in this article that we're referencing that it's services offered to Chinese citizens.
Yeah, and they actually, so they do mention this later in the article. Yeah, they say that, and then they follow up on it by saying, Apple says the cryptographic keys stored in China will be specific to the data of Chinese customers, meaning the Chinese authorities can't ask Apple to use them to decrypt data in other countries.
Mm-hmm.
So if, for example, Ervin, you went to China, they couldn't force.
Right, because my data is still stored within the U.S.
Yep. But it is still a downgrade in protection for Chinese customers,
and it's a reminder that your cloud data that's out there in the cloud is actually held somewhere. So it's not floating in the atmosphere; it's located in China.
There's a key to unlock your stuff, and it's not owned by you; it's owned by Apple, and they get to decide who gets to own it. So, just to make this clear for those who may not be familiar with the cryptographic key, we do go a little bit in detail on that in the iFro Explains for cryptocurrency, but this isn't a backdoor into your data. This isn't something programmed in by Apple in order to allow third-party companies to get in. This is your private key, which will be used to decrypt all of your encrypted data. And anybody who's not familiar with the encryption process, it's just a matter of taking data and running it through a filter of a very large number and converting it into something that people can't easily read for the sake of security. And only the people who have the public key can decrypt and read it. So that's encryption in a nutshell. But this isn't a backdoor. That's something that I did feel that the article stated that I felt was important.
Mm-hmm.
It's just updating on policy to help out the Chinese authorities.
Yeah.
Right.
One device or object that does not require a key to access is a Tesla Model 3, which is actually a fact. Tesla Model 3s don't come with keys.
7 out of 10. 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. I appreciate that. Thank you.
No
so
we went from a 10 out of 10 to a 3 out of 10 to a 7 out of 10 segue. So we're doing pretty good here.
Pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. So as Tesla Model 3 has been in the news a lot recently, and one of the latest pieces of news that has come out is now people who have made pre-orders with Tesla who don't already own a Model S or Model X can now start taking delivery of their cars, which has been one of the biggest gripes for people who made reservations back in 2016, that they were just waiting. It's like, when am I gonna get the ability to start configuring my car and start taking delivery? every single one of the deliveries that happened up to this point have been to either Tesla employees or previous owners of a Model S or Model X, so they got priority. But now within California, they started to send out invitations to start configuring their cars with a delivery timeline of 4 to 6 weeks, which is fairly quick.
It is.
Yeah.
This is a good indicator that they're actually about to or already have revamped and are stepping their production up, which was something that we talked about a while ago when they announced the Model 3.
And that they've had issues. There's been several pieces of news where it has come out that they are having issues with ramping up. They've had issues with ramping up the production, but it looks like they are starting to clear out that backlog of reservations. You can still only only order the highest end model, so you can't get the $35,000 one like they promised as the base price. That is still not configurable. So if you want to wait, you can still hold your line even if you get one of these invitations that you're ready to configure. If you don't want to get the higher trim model with all the premium upgrades, you can just press a button within your reservation and page and let Tesla know that hold my place, but I'll just wait till the cheaper model comes out. Or a lot of people within the northern hemisphere who live in states where it snows quite a bit during the winter months are waiting for the all-wheel drive model, which is also still not out yet. But if you have been waiting and you aren't currently a Tesla owner and it looks like they're starting out the West Coast, a lot of people have been receiving no email notifications, but a lot of people haven't. They just logged on to their My Tesla account and they just saw, oh, your car's ready to configure. So if you're curious if you're part of this first wave of invitations, you just log on to your My Tesla account and see if you're one of the a part of this initial information.
Do we know the initial production numbers already, or what that they're currently at in terms of their production? Because I've seen a few of them on the street already.
Yeah. So they're becoming more and more prevalent as Tesla has been shipping. I know that near us there is a service center, and there was a picture posted that there were like I think 10 or 15 ready for delivery, and like that's right near us. So, but those are again those were two previous owners. I think Tesla has during the last earnings call, they reiterated that they will still plan to achieve production of 2,500 units per week by the end of next month. So that sounds like end of March. But there are still some bottlenecks within the production process, and
we saw this with all of the previous Teslas.
Yeah, so the initial production has always had some kind of bottleneck, but I believe that eventually Tesla will figure out and improve the production rates. 2,500 units is pretty high, but from what we've heard previously, they're up to almost 500,000 pre-orders. So if they want to clear that backlog, they should hopefully improve that weekly number. And a lot of those are probably not US ones. Also on their website, they still state that if you made a reservation today, it'll take 12 to 18 months before you take delivery of your car.
Have they talked about what those bottlenecks are in the production process?
Yeah, it's the battery production bottlenecks.
It's always batteries.
Yeah, the battery production, the manufacturing of the batteries, the tooling that they ordered, the manufacturer of that tooling promised a particular timeline that yes, we can deliver this many batteries, or you can manufacture this many batteries within a certain amount of time. And when they actually got that equipment in-house in the warehouse in the Gigafactory, those rates actually didn't live up to what the manufacturer of those parts promised. So it wasn't really Tesla's fault. They were promised one number when they actually got it. It wasn't the case. So now Elon said on their earnings call, they're working with a German manufacturer to bring in new tooling that should help alleviate that bottleneck within the battery production, and those should be in place by the end of March. Is the last I've heard.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's,
So
it's always frustrating when timelines fall to the wayside.
yeah, but hey, there's a lot of different components in this car, a lot of pieces, a lot of moving pieces, and it's a new company. They're still figuring out all the quirks.
Yeah, and
but-
that's always been Tesla's like almost like their shtick, basically. Like they have very aggressive timelines, and they
Yeah.
push very, very, very bold predictions of their
Mhm.
cars. And it's not necessarily about when they make those predictions and when they hit those landmarks, but it's all the things they achieve between the start point and the end point. That's what impresses people the most.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's that style
Yeah.
of
They typically deliver. Yeah, they typically deliver what they promised, but not at the timeline that they said.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just takes them quite a bit longer a lot of the times to actually deliver.
Yeah.
But they actually hit when they promised that this car was gonna launch. So they actually started delivery at around the time that they initially said back when the original reservations were out. So they hit that goal, but they said initially that was gonna be like an exponential growth within the production rates, and that hasn't been the case so far. But there has been some calculations done. I think Forbes, I have to confirm that Forbes has done a sort of estimator calculator to see what cars actually have been developed, doing some tracking with what VIN numbers have been publicly registered within the government database, to see actually how many cars are being shipped per month, and also how many are actually being manufactured by Tesla, to try to see, okay, what is their promised production rate and what is their estimate based on numbers. Also, people can provide to that database to help Forbes trying to get a better calculation. So if you have a delivery of a Model 3, you can input your VIN and see when it was delivered, and by that they can improve that data and sort of an estimation of when you should be expecting a delivery. But it's coming and people love it who have received it. Of course, there's some small issues here and there with the initial production, but Tesla has been great at going up and above, trying to fix those for those early customers. But yeah, early adopter issues are still a thing with a couple of these models that I've seen on videos online. But overall, I think people are happy with the car that they have received.
Right.
Very nice.
But I think when it hits that $35,000 mark, that's when it's going to skyrocket.
Yep.
Right? Because right now, the only version that you can get at minimum cost, I think, $49.
Yeah.
Is right, $49,000.
Yeah, it's like 49, or it's like maybe even a little more, I think.
Yeah. If you want autopilot and everything like that, I think it goes up to 56.
Yeah.
If you want all the options. So people want, I think a lot of people still want that 35,000. But that won't be out, I think, till they kept pushing timelines back, and I think now it's around late 2018.
Although the $35,000 model is still a very stripped down version of that car. Like if you want any of the like you were saying, autopilot and the nicer features like that, it's going to run you quite a bit more.
Yeah, so just for autopilot, it's going to add $5,000 on that, so it's already a $40,000 car then. Yeah, and if you want any of the premium upgrades, add even.
But that happens with every car, so it's not
Yeah.
a big deal. Yeah, you can the final fully maxed out, fully loaded version of a car is usually like 10 or 15,000 more anyway. So, but yeah, you know what isn't 10 or 15,000 more? Snapchat stock. Their stock. What's that?
2 out of 10.
Hey man, it's still better than 1 out of 10. I'll take it. But that's also that number you threw out there also coincides with Kylie Jenner's review of Snapchat. So yeah, she their update has been poorly received, and this comes right at the heels of that update that Snapchat released where they just totally overhauled their UI. And then it dropped again when Kylie Jenner tweeted that she was done with the app. And I quote, "So does anyone else not open Snapchat anymore, or is it just me? This is so sad." So we're in a world where celebrities can destroy Snapchat stock. She does have 24.5 million Twitter followers and one of their most popular users on Snapchat. So it does make sense that she would have an influence on the market. But this is just another nail in the coffin for Snap, I think.
Yeah,
And
well,
it's weird
yeah.
not calling them Snapchat. I have to call them Snap. I find that weird. I don't know if you guys do or not, but it's just me. But yeah, so I mean, I personally haven't used Snapchat that much.
This new update is kind of I'm not a fan either.
Yeah.
But I'm not a really active user of Snapchat. I use it on occasion, but I see where people who are diehard users might be, why they might be complaining, really upset that they have changed key features. And I know Snap has come back and you reiterated that they're gonna stick with this design. I know there's been petitions all over the internet. One I think was close to 1 million signatures to say to revert back the changes, but Snap has come out and said, yeah, we're gonna keep this design. We're gonna iterate it, keep improving it. It's a growing product, but we're gonna keep moving forward with this sort of design change. I know there's always an uproar when Facebook changed their timelines, the way that you view your news feed, but I think after a while people just gotta like accept it, and I think that's what Snap is hoping for here as well.
Yeah, and
with the $1.5 billion loss, I'm sure they're hoping.
Hey, they haven't made money yet, so there's still hey, it's just there's like hey, we just lost more money. That's fine. We're used to that.
we're still on track for that prediction that I think that we made where Snapchat wouldn't last through the year or something. And when we were making predictions on how we thought they would do when they announced their initial public offering, when we did that episode, and it's not looking good for them. But yeah, so they had the company's response to that 1.2 million signature change.org tanked the stock, and then again this happened, which is $1.5 billion in loss of market value for Snap.
Yeah,
which is
they really hit the bubble there.
Yeah. So I mean, she did follow up on that tweet saying that she still loved Snap. She said, "Still love you though, Snap, my first love," but it's too late. But
and Kylie, what have you done?
Yeah, it's hard to tell if it's actually related to Kylie Jenner or not, but it's too good of a coincidence to pass up. So
I mentioned to you guys pre-show that I'd like to see her endorse some random other company that has public stock and see if it skyrockets as a result.
Yeah.
Maybe she endorses a fertilizer producer. Maybe their stock will soar.
Is Kylie Jenner the next Warren Buffett? Tune in next time.
Exactly.
With one tweet, she can decide the fate of the stock market.
Imagine if Kylie Jenner was just an internet avatar for Warren Buffett.
Oh my God. That would be an interesting world to live in.
It would be.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Ervin, I think you have some news for us.
Yeah, but at the end of the show, a little PSA, a little tool tip. Like to give that to our listeners. If you are curious about, you hear a lot of news about all these data breaches with different websites, different services. There's a very useful website that allows you to see if you are one of the affected users of these data breaches. And that website is called haveibeenpwned.com, and that's PWNED, pwned, haveibeenpwned.com. And this website is very, very useful. It allows you to enter either your email address, username, as well as they've added, and towards the end of last year, they added a new feature where you're allowed to enter your password and see if that password has been part of any previous breaches around the internet. So it's a huge database, and you can be assured that all your data that you're entering through this system is all local, so it's not being actually sent to the server, which is nice. So you're like, oh, please enter your password that you use on every single website, and we'll see if it has been pwned, and then they'll just collect that information and use it. You can trust this website. It has been vetted by multiple security agencies. And it has a huge database, and the reason that it came up again is that with the password feature that was launched towards, I think, August of last year, it initially contained 320 million passwords with all the different data breaches that are out there. And the owner of this website, Troy Hunt, has recently updated it with over 500 million pwned passwords in their current versions of the list. So they have done also some cleanup and also an aggregate information of okay, what are the most popular passwords, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Our password is probably on the top of the list. If you wanted to actually get access to these list of files, you can. There's a torrent link as well as a Cloudflare link. It is 8.8 gigabytes, but if you're curious enough, you can get hashes and count of password usage of over 500 million passwords around the internet. But if you're just curious to see if any of your email addresses or usernames or passwords have been owned around the internet, it's a very useful website. You can enter it and it'll give you the exact list of all the services that have gotten breached that contain your information, and you can go out and start changing your password, probably remove your accounts from there if you think it might be something of concern. And also, recommendation that you don't use the same password on every single site. Use something like a password manager that'll take the burden off you trying to remember passwords for different services, different websites, and it makes it easy for you to create a unique password for every single site out there, so that if one gets hacked, then you won't compromise every other website that you use around the net.
So I did try a couple of passwords on here. One was my really old password, and that did show up on several breaches. But I also tried the password that showed up about 3.5 million times.
Yep.
And then for anybody who remembers the very old World of Warcraft joke, I tried Hunter 2, and that has showed up about 16,000 times as well. So in breaches, so it's saddening to me that it's actually a used password, but that's an old World of Warcraft meme.
1, 2, 3, 4 is showed up 1.1 million times.
Nothing beats password. But
password or maybe admin or
yeah. And while I was doing that, I wasn't really paying too much attention to the discussion. But did you mention you mentioned the email and username?
Yeah.
As well, right? Yeah, that's incredibly useful. But I'm definitely I had this this was brought to my attention I think a year or two ago when they first launched it, and it's been something I haven't used on and off since then, but it's definitely a very useful program. And they even link the different websites at the bottom for the top 10 breaches on how they've obtained accounts and usernames and stuff like that. So it's definitely an awesome listen. It's a great PSA.
For sure. Stay woke.
Stay woke. I like it. But that actually could segue into the potential future explains episode that we may or may not have lined up. I don't know if you guys wanted to tease at it or not, or if we actually don't want to do it.
Cannot confirm or deny.
Yeah. Okay. We'll keep it a secret. Keep it secret. Keep it safe.
Yeah.
But okay. So, but I think with anything else, that brings us to the end of the episode, unless you guys had any final closing pointers about your username or passwords. You're gonna be like that guy with that insurance company who put his social security number out on that big truck and drives around. Did you see that?
Nope, I did not.
It was like some company that claimed they were so secure that you could publicly announce your social security number, and he
LifeLock.
in the LifeLock. In the commercials, he drove around a big truck with his social security number like stickered onto the side of the truck, and lo and behold, his identity's been stolen about 5 times already. So, yeah, but
Ruining lives one at a time.
never declare something as unsinkable.
Yep.
But okay, so yeah, that brings us to the end of the show. So with that, we haven't had any reviews this week, so there's nothing to read off there. But if you would like to read us a review, tell us how we're doing, coach us into a new rant about the FCC, or make a suggestion for a future I4O Explains, you can do that at Facebook. You can do that on Podbean. You can reach out to us on Twitter, Instagram, iTunes, Stitcher. You can leave us a comment or feedback anywhere, and chances are one of us will see it and either respond or we will incorporate it into the next show. But as for where you can find the show, you can find us on any of your favorite podcatchers. Our RSS feed goes out to a wide range of different applications. As for the big players, you can catch us on Podbean itself at industry40.podbean.com. You could find us on Google Play and iTunes at Industry 4.0. You can find us on Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter at Industry40, all spelled out as the username. We're available everywhere, even on Google Home and Alexa. But yes, as for that, the music for this has been produced by none other than Jeff. Congratulations on that music.
I done it.
You done it. He's not here today, but you can certainly enjoy the photography of Ryan Thompson at flickr.com/Wayne R. Thompson, Instagram at WayneRyan21, and Ervin also does photography at Ervin.Lucas on Instagram.
Yeah, thanks for the shout out.
Yeah, always. But yeah, this has been episode 40.
Episode 40. Has it really been 41 episodes, including episode 0?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Crazy.
I know. I'm excited for the year in review, and for anybody who didn't catch the initial bit of the live stream, we rolled out a new
41.
trailer to kind of showcase the introduction to the live stream. But I don't know if Ervin, if you wanted to play that on the way out too, but I definitely could be something that we could show the users. But yeah, so as we said, this has been episode 40. We have 12 left for the year, or 11 left for the year.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys in the next one.
Trailer is
It poses a really big threat.
That is a multi-layered attacks.
Malicious in intent, design, and implementation.
That means that education on these topics needs to be more readily available.
This stuff is important.
There to completely delete everything off your computer.
We do have some fun stuff from Apple,
Google and
Tesla.
Intel.
This is some next level announcement stuff.
Update your computer.
Like, how is she qualified for this role?
it's like making a film major a programmer, man.
No, exactly.
Hola up, we dem boys of I4O. What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 8 of Industry 4.0, the only podcast that suggests that you regularly update your printer drivers.
Welcome to Industry 4.0.